So you think this would be the end of your Grandmaster run. The Tormentor has about 20% health left. You're the last Guardian standing. Your palms are getting a little bit sweaty. Your heart starts to beat a little bit faster. Every enemy is looking right at you, taking fire raining down on you. This is where builds matter, and today we have an Unkillable Hunter that can survive even in the most difficult content. It's all about stacking the best damage reduction in the game, then adding the best healing in the game as well, to turn your Prismatic Hunter into an absolute beast for you. Also, the build shines even more in easier content, which is crazy because all the gameplay you're watching is from the new Grandmaster this week. So if you test it for yourself, I promise you that you won't be disappointed. Now there are two possible ways to run this build. The first is a little bit slower and a little bit safer for those of you that don't like to play as aggressive. And for this one, we'll take Stylish Executioner as an aspect. Basically everything we do will make us invisible. But the second, which is personally my favorite, allows you to be even more aggressive and apply Jolt to the battlefield. It's a satisfying combo of grapple melee into Ascension and raining hellfire from above. There are only a few changes you make based on your choice, but I think you'll have more fun with the Ascension one, which is why I'm showing it in the gameplay, and we are still playing a game at the end of the day, and fun matters to me at least. So first off is your super of choice. You can choose between Tether or Silence and Squall. I would take Squall if you're playing the Ascension version because it will provide another layer of damage reduction for you, but Tether is very viable here as well and plays good with Stylish Executioner. Our melee and grenades stay the same. We take Threaded Spike as it's one of the harder hitting melees on the Hunter and can hit multiple enemies, and it will apply the Sever debuff to enemies and bosses you hit. This cuts their outgoing damage by 40% and will help you tank those boss shots that could easily one-shot you. We take Grapple for our grenade. This will apply the Unravel debuff to entire rooms, and if you're running Stylish Executioner, this allows every kill to make you go invisible. It's also passive damage with Unravel, and both our grenade and melee are dark abilities, so they will help charge that darkness meter for our Transcendence form. Now for the aspects. The one we never swap out, because it's our bread and butter of the build, is Gunpowder Gamble. This is on a 6-second cooldown, and it allows you to easily throw one every 10 seconds, and that's really important. Any ability kills will give charges to the gunpowder, and it will charge it very fast since they give extra stacks, but any solar weapon kill will also give 1 stack to our Gunpowder Gamble charge. So remember, we want to be throwing this stick of dynamite as often as possible, then working in the grapple and the threaded spike melee in between. We pair gunpowder with Ascension, so while in the air, you hit your dodge ability, and this will activate Ascension, and it will damage and jolt everything around you. You also become amplified and make your allies amplified as well. So your core gameplay loop looks like this. You just grapple into enemies and do your grapple melee. You will charge Gunpowder Gamble off that melee, especially in easier content, and you make everything unraveled. You then hit your dodge, and you will instantly ascend since you were in the air from your grapple melee. This will then jolt everything around you and make you amplified and everyone else amplified. You then throw your stick of dynamite, which is normally charged up, and watch everything go boom from the ignition. Then you can easily clean up enemies because they are jolted and unraveled for extra damage. And how you're going to clean them up, we pair this entire build with a great solar weapon called Red Death Reformed. I finally unlocked it and completed the catalyst, and I can't stress how good this weapon is to any builds. Every kill you get gives you a cure ×2. This basically makes you invincible for half a second or so, which allows you to full heal because of our great damage reduction, which we'll go over in a second. Also, a cure ×2 is literally what Phoenix Dive does on the Warlock class ability. You're getting the benefits of a healing class ability on every single kill. Then if you reload, you apply that cure to your fire team as well. Now with the catalyst, 2 kills charge Red Death, with a yellow bar charging it right away. Your next kill will grant Restoration ×2 to you for 5 seconds. So if you have Restoration ×2 paired with crazy damage reduction, you see what's happening here, right? You also leave a Restoration ×2 remnant on the ground for your allies to pick up if they're playing around you. So you're applying Cure ×2 and Restoration ×2 to yourself all the time just by killing things and the entire fire team. And this is all as long as you're just getting a few kills here and there with the weapon. That weapon is also charging our Gunpowder Gamble. To make that easier to secure those kills, we make sure that we have Radiant up all the time and run solar weapon surges to make Red Death Reformed hit much harder. And make sure you focus red bars since it gets the bonus damage as the exotic primary to red bar enemies. So it'll chew through red bar enemies as long as you have the solar surges and radiant active with it. So since we're on the topic of your weapon, in your primary slot you could take the Call sidearm. It's the new strand sidearm from this season, and I like to run Demolitionist on it, and the second perk can be whatever you want, but rocket sidearms are great in endgame content, and we'll be applying unraveling rounds to this all the time. And then in my heavy slot, I went with Commemoration. Hammerhead works well here as well, but it's a Void LMG, which is great on the Tormentor boss, but we'll also be applying volatile rounds to our weapon all the time as well, with Gunpowder Gamble. So your 3 weapons benefit greatly from the build, and Red Death alone with Restoration ×2 and Cure ×2 is just insane. Now to pull the entire build together, you do want to get a Hunter class item with Spirit of Surturachne, or you run the Helmet of Surturachne that will give you Woven Mail when you activate your grapple ability. So if you don't have a class item, you can use that helmet, but it's definitely better with a class item. And the reason for this is Spirit of Surturachne will give you Woven Mail when you use your grenade. That's any grenade. Gunpowder Gamble counts as a grenade ability, and we already went over how we can have this up every 10 seconds or so. And Woven Mail, when you use your grenade, lasts for 10 seconds. So we now have infinite Woven Mail just by throwing our Gunpowder Gamble. But that also works when using your grapple grenade, and also works when you're throwing your Hellfire Spike, which is your Transcendence grenade, which you're throwing like every 3 or 4 seconds when you are in your Transcendence form. So you're getting a 45% damage reduction from Woven Mail all the time. When we grapple in and ascend, well, we become amplified, right? With Ascension, and we pair that with Galvanic Armor. When we're on a Prismatic subclass and we're amplified, we get another 30% damage reduction on top of everything else. Amplified lasts 15 seconds, and you're easily using your Ascension ability every 15 to 20 seconds. I actually should have been using it more in the gameplay than I was. Now for our fragments, we take Faceted Protection. While surrounded by combatants, you're more resistant to incoming damage. This is even further enhanced when you're Transcendence. So another layer of damage reduction there, and then we also take Facet of Purpose. Picking up an Orb of Power is going to grant us Frost Armor, because we're using Silence and Squall as our super. Now it's not a crazy amount of damage reduction there, but when you do get to ×5 Frost Armor, that's about 25% damage reduction. So our Frost Armor damage reduction is on top of Faceted Protection damage reduction, it's on top of Woven Mail damage reduction, and on top of Galvanic Armor damage reduction. And then you just add in your 100 Resilience to top everything off. So we're taking so little damage, but as we're randomly getting kills here and there with Red Death, you're getting the Cure ×2 for a full heal, and every once in a while proccing Restoration ×2 for 5 seconds to out heal anything that's going on when you have all that damage reduction stacked on top of it. Now for your exotic class item, you do want Spirit of Surturachne like I said, and in that first column there's a lot of options there. I really like Spirit of Galanor. Hits and final blows with your super will return super energy after it ends. Pair that with Silence and Squall or Tether, and it works really well. It actually works better with Tether, and it's just like if you were running Orpheus Rig, and you can get half of your super back when using Tether. Same with Silence and Squall, as long as it hits enough enemies, it's going to get you half that super back. There's a lot of other options you can pair in that first column as well, but the main thing you want here is just Spirit of Surturachne. That is your survivability. Now let's go over the last 4 fragments, since we already went over Facet of Purpose and Facet of Protection. We take Facet of Solitude, so when we hit those precision hits on enemies, we'll apply the Sever debuff, just another way to add to survivability for yourself and your team, because you're cutting that outgoing damage of an enemy by 40%. We take Facet of Ruin, increase the size and damage of the Burst of Stasis, the area effect of Solar Ignitions. This plays well into our grenade on our Hunter in the Transcendence form, which is Hellspike, and also makes our Gunpowder Gamble ignition hit a larger area of effect. I do like to take Facet of Bravery, because when we get grenade final blows, we get volatile rounds to that heavy weapon. This works with our grapple melee, our Hellfire Spike grenade, and our Gunpowder Gamble grenade. And then the second part here is defeating targets with powered melees grants unraveling rounds. This works with Threaded Spike, which you throw a ton out when you're Transcendence, and also works with grapple because grapple is considered a melee and a grenade. And then lastly, you want to take Facet of Hope. While you have an elemental buff, your class ability regenerates more quickly. I'm pretty sure Bungie finally fixed this to work no matter what buff you have active first, but if this hasn't changed, make sure to comment that down below so everyone knows. But I'm pretty sure a couple weeks ago this got fixed finally. So now you can have that Ascension up all the time with your dodge ability to make sure that you're amplified, jolting, and providing amplified to your entire team all the time. Now this video has gone on long enough. I feel like I've talked forever, so if you want to see the mods that I use and the artifact mods, just click down below at the top of the description. It's a Mobalytics link. There'll be a nice image there when you click on it to see all the mods that you can just hover over and see exactly what I use, and the artifact mods. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Have a great rest of your day.